Okay, y'all know that I'm all about being a champion for you when you're making those big midlife pivots. And if your career is one of those areas where you want to make a change, but you're trying to figure out how do you get started? What are you qualified for? Am I too old to compete in this space anymore? I want to invite you to join my coaching program. It is called the Job Search Blueprint, and all I do is specialize with working with midlife baddies like yourself who are ready to make that step. Go to upskillservices.site to learn more about how you and I can work together to get you ready for your next career. Hey guys, we are talking about one of my favorite topics in today's episode. This is pretty much what I do with clients, and they are normally people that are making midlife career pivots. Okay, I gotta say that slowly because I tend to get overly excited because it is something that I'm very, very passionate about. Very much rooted in my own journey and from so many of my educator colleagues and friends that know that they want to do something different, bigger, or bolder. But if somebody could just guide them, if somebody could just hold their hand and reassure them of the steps, of the things that are going to make sense and the things that they maybe don't need to bother with. That is what we're talking about today. So how to change careers in midlife, the Aquila edition is what we're talking. So I will tell you this, that everything about my business and everything about this podcast is very much rooted in things that I learned along my journey. So y'all all know my history of being an educator for, 23 years, and then moving into corporate in the tech space and now into entrepreneurship. And along the way, every single one of those pivots, there were things that I learned, things that I realized were really, really significant and things that were just noise. So I have narrowed down what I've learned into a framework. And that framework for me, this is again the Aquila version, this is my world, and y'all just showing up to it today. But anyway, it is what I call the Upskill Actions Framework. And there are 5 steps within this framework, 5 different areas that you really need to double down on and just kind of quiet the noise in all the other places where you might feel pressured to show up, but you don't really have to. So let's get into those steps. The first step that I want you to do when you are thinking that you want to make some type of midlife career pivot, the first thing is that you might start doubting yourself or wondering what are the options that are available to you. And so what I say is first step is that you need to self-assess. And what do I mean by that? Do we need to sit in front of a computer and take an actual test? No. But do you need to look intrinsically? Do you need to go internal and start to think of what are the things that you currently have in your skill set? And if you are a mature midlifer like myself, it's very possible that you've had a very long career someplace else and you've developed some careers, you've developed, some skills or develop some talents along the way. And so if you're sitting in this seat at 40 years old, at 50 years old, and you're thinking, I don't know if I have the right skills to go out there and do something else, it is very likely that you do. And we don't have to start at level 0. You probably are much further along than someone that is fresh out of college or someone that has only, 5 or 6 years seniority in a particular position. You have the gift of wisdom. You have the gift of some institutional knowledge wherever you are. And so we just really need to see what are those skills you currently possess that are transferable someplace else. And then also we want to find out what are the things that light you up? What are the topics that get you excited? What are the things that friends and colleagues may come to you with questions about? They think of you when they think of this thing, or that when they need advice on this one topic, you're the first person that they call. That matters. I mean, number one, they're thinking about you, but number 2, that means that you are an expert in their eyes. So is that maybe an area that you could lean into and maybe develop it as a possible career shift? Those are all things that I want you to think about. When you do that self-assessment, number one, what are the skills that you currently possess that you've developed over time? And then number two, what are the topics that you are the go-to person for, where you might be a little bit of an expert and you just haven't paid attention or noticed? Okay. So number two, I want you to collect your receipts. And if you have connected with me on Instagram or LinkedIn, you've heard me use that phrase over and over again. Collect your receipts. I think I'm going to print a t-shirt about that just to make sure y'all remember. But what does that mean when I say collect your receipts? Well, it means that you need to create a regular practice of collecting evidence of your work, your projects, any accolades and achievements. You need to gather evidence of all of those things and house them someplace, preferably in a digital portfolio, so that you can have that showcase ready and available whenever you are facing an opportunity. What kind of happens is that we have a little bit of a delayed reaction. We sometimes sit back and wait for an opportunity to come to us. We assume that someone's going to knock on our door and say, hey, Akila, we've got a great job and we think that you are a perfect fit for it. But the reality is that that's probably not going to happen for most of us. It's usually going to be up to us to be proactive and seek out those opportunities. So when there is something that comes up, we're not going to give you a 90-day runway and say, hey, there's going to be a great opportunity coming your way really soon. Usually those things blindside us. And I always tell people that don't be blindsided. Be that person that gets ready and then you stay ready. And collecting your receipts is a way that you are able to gather all of those good things that represent your work ethic, that represent the quality of the work that you do. Have that package someplace so that you're ready to hand it over and show somebody, say, here's all the different things I can do. And let me show you how that plays out. It's very important that you have this, and it is a reoccurring thing. You make it a regular practice. Every time you get a new certification, every time that you get a new award, if your supervisor has emailed you and given you some type of atta girl or a job well done type of message, you can save that into a digital portfolio and just keep building on it. So it's important to have those types of records so that you're ready to show somebody else. But I'll tell you another impact that will have. You will understand your value and your impact as a team member, as someone that can deliver a certain level of work. You start to sit up a little bit straighter when you go back and you reflect on all of the good things that you've accomplished in your work history. So it has kind of a double-sided effect, all positive, but I definitely encourage you to always collect your receipts. All right. So the third thing that I want you to do if you are looking to make a midlife career change is to find your community. Now, what do I mean by that? When I say find your community, that means that you need to be networking. Always be networking. So some of y'all are rolling your eyes saying, oh, no, girl, that ain't me. I don't like it. I feel icky going up and doing all these fake conversations with people that I don't know. I actually want to pause you right there and say, it is not as bad as you might hear or assume it to be. Professional networking is a very necessary part of the process of making any type of career pivot. The reason why, there is a very hard truth that folks don't want to admit, and that is the fact that who you know professionally is just as important as what you know. Your next job opportunity is likely going to come from someone that you already are connected to somewhere professionally. You probably are not going to be a total stranger that walks into some company, they meet you for the very first time, don't know anything about you, and you dazzle them so much in that first or second or third meeting that they automatically would just want to bring you on. Usually there is some connection to a person that is in that organization, or someone has referred you to a space that kind of lets you skip the line with all of the other candidates and applicants for a particular position. So I always say, don't wait for you to be looking for a job. Don't wait for you to be desperate to find a job before you decide to build on your professional network. It is very important that you keep your ear to the street, very important that you nurture relationships. And I mean, there could be people that you're able to do this same service to. So just make sure that you don't wait and try to use people in that capacity when you need them. Nurture those relationships, be a good colleague, and just be a part of a professional community. And I will tell you this, that networking in particular right now has never been easier. And the reason why is because so much happens in the online space before it ever gets into real life. And if you want a recommendation of what to do or how to get started with networking, I highly recommend that you go on to LinkedIn and you create a premium account, and it will unlock lots of features that will make it a lot easier for you to start engaging with people and probably and reconnecting with folks that, connections that you've let go dormant, folks that you haven't talked to in a while, people that you will remember, oh yeah, I remember working with them, it was pretty nice, or yeah, she was really talented, I really need to talk to her again because I can learn some things from her. That happens naturally, it happens organically, so it is possible that you can build that network without feeling icky. All right. The fourth thing that I recommend for you to do when you are making a midlife career pivot is that you be intentional about upskilling yourself. And when I say upskilling, it means, building on the skills that you already possess, because again, you likely have had some long career someplace else doing something else. If you're like my age, I'm in my 50s, and I spent pretty much my entire adult life in the world of K-12 education. And there were a lot of skills that I built up in that arena. So when I was ready to make a shift, I had to think of what are the skills that I can take from education into this tech space? What are the things that I learned here that are going to be relevant there? But that wasn't everything. I did have to start going online and looking in e-learning spaces and try to connect some dots from different things that I was hearing, different platforms that I knew I was going to have to learn a little bit more about. So when I did that, going on to places like Udemy, it depends on how you pronounce that. Google has a professional certificate space. Coursera is a good e-learning platform, and LinkedIn itself. LinkedIn Learning has a lot of what I would call like micro certification courses where you can truly just spend about an hour of your time taking like a sample, almost like an appetizer, not the full course, but just an appetizer of some certification, some different professional areas where you could tighten up a few skills. And it may be just enough for you to learn and realize that that particular thing ain't for you. Or it could be just enough to think, oh, I like that topic, or I like this particular field. Maybe I need to go a little bit deeper on it. But the whole point is that you realize that you have access to these different learning opportunities online, usually at a very minimal cost. And you could be doing this in the privacy of your own home with whatever spare time that you have. I do not recommend that if you are making a career pivot that you immediately out the gate go into a full degree program. I can say that very confidently as someone that has gotten all the degrees and gotten all the education. I mean, I'm not done. I mean, I'm still a lifelong learner, but I would say that before you make that type of big commitment, both with your time and your money, go someplace online to an e-learning platform and just take some very, very short courses, things that are less than an hour, to try to figure out where your true interests are going to lie for the next phase of your career. All right. Now, once you've done all of these things that I have just mentioned, there is a fifth and final, very, very important thing that you now need to do. So you have done the self-assessment, you have collected your receipts, you have found your community and the value of networking, and you've started upgrading your skills. The final thing that you need to do is to bring it on home and start to market yourself. Okay, I know some of y'all have just collectively screamed because you don't want to be too showy. You're not braggadocious, and you're just like, I don't want to be out there and embarrass myself talking about myself all the time. But let me, wrap my arms around you virtually and say that if you've got all this goodness to share, if you've got all of this talent to offer, nobody knows about it unless you put it out there. So marketing yourself is a very big part of this process of pivoting into a new career space. You have certifications, you have education, you have awards, you have technical skills that all need to be showcased on your LinkedIn profile, your Indeed profile. You need to go to networking events, you need to go to conferences, and you need to make sure that people know this about you. So as you shake hands with folks, whether it is in person or virtually, you are letting them know what you have to offer. That is a big deal because they're not going to ask you for it. You have to put it out there proactively. So I will say that it is not an easy thing in the very beginning. So if you are someone that is just emerging from whatever career for a long time, you've kind of hidden in the shadows and just been going along with the program for years and years, and you want to shift into that new thing, you have to show up in a different light. You have to show up and make sure the world understands who you are, what you have to offer, and who you can help. Because the people that need you, the people that are wanting to work with you in this future space, they're waiting for you. They are waiting for you to show up and be that person that can deliver on whatever it is that you have to offer. So here's the main thing that I want you to know about all of this. With everything that I'm telling you, I still want to drive it home that this is not something that you have to do alone. Making a big career shift, a big pivot, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage. I will give you that. I will never say that it stops being less scary, but you are able to get some professional support. And you're in luck because I happen to be that person for you. So I actually have a process where I love working with midlifers that are making these types of career pivots. So if you were thinking that maybe I am someone that can help you, I would love to coach you through it. If you would like to learn more about my coaching programs and what it is that I can help you with in making this shift, I encourage you to go to my website, which is upskillservices.site. I'm going to link that in the show notes. And if you would like to learn a little bit more about how I can help you, we can book a call. And hopefully, if you'd like for me to work with you, we'll get you over that bridge of all of your doubts, all of your fears, all of the intimidation about what it is you want to do, how to get from here to there confidently. I would love to work with you on that. So again, check out the show notes. Upskillservices.site is the website that I want you to go to. And I look forward to helping you through your big midlife career transition. Thanks, y'all, for joining this episode this week. I will definitely look forward to hearing from you. Be sure to like and subscribe and really, really pass this on to someone who needs to hear this message. Thanks for being here, y'all.